Action.
Hi, everyone. We are so excited because we're here with Tamara Adilman, who you might recognize from our crazy pillow talks in the past. And let me just tell you a little bit about her. She has been a therapist in Vancouver for over 25 years. She specializes in individual couples, family trauma therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And who better to talk to during a crazy global pandemic than someone like Tamara? So, Tamara, what has it been like with your patients, and how have you had to change what you've been doing?
Well, so quickly for so many of us, seeing people in person and just going to online communication, connection, online therapy. So that's been a massive change for sure. And not everybody wants to do that. I think one of the biggest changes is because I work with so many couples who have kids, there's no privacy. When kids are at school, is often when I see people. So they don't have the privacy. So people aren't really able to stay connected in the way that they have been. Or economically, people are really challenged. So, there's just so much going on. But just doing everything by telehealth is really different.
So, Tamara, give us some tips on how to keep your relationship solid and amicable and friendly in an environment where all of a sudden you're 24/7 with each other.
What a time, eh? It's just changed like in a day for people who have big lives and they're going out to just being together all the time. And when you say give us some tips, I'm going to say 3 words. Let it go. Honestly, let it go. What I'm seeing is people really focusing on, what they call the small stuff. And truly, at a time like this, it's going to be so unhelpful. So just letting a lot go. Other tips that I would give is I think it's really important to do planning in a way we haven't done before, pre-planning, like what's the day going to look like and what do you need and what do I need and who's working where and who's dealing with this, because what I think happens is in the moment, people get reactive and irritated, and then they might have a bit of a fight or they bicker just because they haven't figured out what's going to happen that day. It may sound really simple, but right now I think folks need to have a lot more kindness, a lot more patience with each other, knowing this is just extraordinary. And don't bring up big stuff. We've all got hot buttons, those 10 out of 10s. Now is not the time. Don't drink and have a fight. Lots of early cocktail hours midweek.
Yeah.
Those can be pluses and minuses because they can add fuel to a fire, wouldn't you say?
Like if it's a plus, awesome. But when it's a minus, there's nothing worse than having a few drinks and then just starting to pick. Mm-hmm. So be aware of substances, I think. The other thing I would say is, when you think about what gets us into trouble, whether we're quarantined or not, it's our differences with each other. When you're agreeing, having a good time, you want to do the same thing with the kids, everyone's happy, it's not an issue, but it's the differences that are really problematic. So now, more than ever, you've got to see your differences as a resource. What are you both good at? How can you be more patient? In a relationship, there's one person who's way more anxious than the other just because it looks like anxiety. There's the one who's like, hey, this is kind of great. We're home. This is so great. And the other one's like, oh my God, are we ever going to get past this? Are we going to lose the house? So kind of making space for that. Mm-hmm. So being a bit more patient, kind, it's going to go a long way right now. And the other thing I think is really important is giving each other space and supporting that. Go out for a walk on your own. Make sure you've got some time to yourself. I've been talking to couples who are spending all their time together with their kids. And it's a bit of it's like a pressure cooker. Mm-hmm. So you got to have some space. What do you guys think? What are some of the things that you're finding helpful?
Well, I think when I think about our own family, I feel like your words, let it go, resonate. because you're in confined space. There's a certain level of, for me, it's cleanliness is control. And I've, I expect everyone else to kind of pick up on the cues and, bring all the recycling out without verbal communication. And I think I've come to learn like I'm going to start, it's not going to end in success unless we pre-plan that, as you said, and communicate that earlier in the day.
Right. We certainly have to stretch past where we're comfortable right now. That's for sure. Come from our highest self, which isn't always easy. What about you, Ruthie?
I would say that our family, well, first of all, thank God I don't have little kids.
Yeah.
Because I would not make it. So I never wanted to go to the park and play. That was not my thing. I always wanted to like do activities and join other things. I couldn't do the little stuff. So I'm super happy. I've got these awesome teenagers home. They are hanging out together. They're doing a bit of school. They're doing like old-fashioned puzzles, Risk, backgammon, which I love. And they'll go for walks with me in the park with the dogs. But one person we interviewed was a school teacher, and the words that resonated with me is, there is a time for school, but it's 2 months of school. It's not a big deal what happens with this online schooling so much, but now's the time for life lessons. And I was like, you're right, life lessons. And I've just seen my kids kind of step up to the plate, and I've really enjoyed watching that. And they see that we don't have our nanny really here, and we don't really, it's new. So we're all doing it. We're all doing it.
Yeah.
In terms of relationship, Danny is working in my office, so I'm here now. Temporarily kicked him out. But we seem to have a good flow. And he's in here a lot, so it's not like we're in each other's faces a lot.
Yeah, it's great if you've got separate space in your home. You're not all, including the kids, sitting at the kitchen table. I think that gets really tough. Yeah. But one of the things you said that I am also hearing a lot about, and I don't mean it to sound cliche, but this whole idea of gratitude, like enjoying your kids in a way that you haven't because you're spending so much time together and being able to just hang out as a family. So that's going to be the upside of all of this, I think.
Sure.
So it's not all bad. I think that if you want to do it well, you can. But for those couples who have a lot of underlying issues they've never really dealt with, it can be a really tricky time for sure.
For sure. Like, do you imagine there's going to be more divorce, a baby boom? Are people having more sex? Like, you're together a lot. Like I don't know. I'm curious what you're hearing.
I would say all of it. I think there's going to be some unplanned pregnancies. I think, young, for sure. But if you weren't having a whole lot of sex before this and you're spending all this time together, believe me, you're going to want a little bit more space. So it's everything. Like life, it's just not one thing, but parents are sleeping with their kids to avoid each other. Some parents are finding their way back to each other in a way they never had before or for a long time. It's so interesting. Some couples that I've worked with that they were really struggling are doing great. And some couples that were actually doing really well are falling apart. So it's so interesting, that question. I don't know if there'll be more divorce. I sure hope not. I sure hope people realize this is just a tough time.
Me too.
And we all got to get through.
So we've asked this question to everyone at the end of an interview, which is, what do you see the silver lining in this whole experience? What do you deem to be the silver lining?
What do I deem to be the silver lining from this whole experience? I guess a couple things. One is that we kind of get back to basics. I think that we start to, hello, Ruthie.
Sorry, it just left without the internet. I don't know.
Well, I'm glad you're back. What's the silver lining we're talking about?
Yeah.
You know, when I said get back to basics, it's like spending time together, not spending so much money on stuff we don't need, going for walks and just looking at the blossoms, spending more time slowing down. These are all of the things I'm starting to experience in my own life that I think are wonderful silver linings. I think it'll be great when we get to connect again and hang out face to face. I think we'll appreciate our relationships more, our friendships, our families, our parents. So I think those are some of the things for sure.
Well, thank you so much. We are going to put all your information on the slideshow, and then can new patients connect with you? And
absolutely, I'm taking new people because everybody's at home, so people have different needs than they did before. So I'm doing way more flexible hours and days and just trying to fit with where people's new schedules are at. Happy to take new people. And I just don't think when you're going through a hard time, either in your relationship or individually, you should have to do it alone. It's tough times right now. I think we all need to take a collective breath and let it out, not just hold on to it.
Thank you.
And yeah, lovely to talk to you both.
You're so
and
I know.
Oh, I just think it's so wonderful what you're both doing, and I think it's wonderful. Thanks for doing this with me.
Thank you. Have an awesome day.
You too. Enjoy the sun and your families, and especially these gorgeous blossoms outside.
I know. I live on Magnolia Street, so you can imagine.
Gorgeous. Good.
Yeah.
Well, enjoy all the magnolias on Magnolia Street.
Thank you. Okay.
Bye.
Take care.